week 7. Baby is the size of playing dice, the tip of your eyeliner brush, and a blueberry. This week, baby's arm and leg buds are getting longer, and what will become their fingers and toes are now starting to develop. Their brains are growing rapidly, and so are their eyes, as well as all of their other abdominal organs. Hi guys, it's Amanda, and I'm sorry I am looking like a hot mess today because that is about what you would expect of a 7-week pregnant lady. That is about what I have been feeling for week 7. Just kind of a roller coaster between feeling like supermom and an absolute hot mess. So let me explain. So like I said in my previous update, I have been feeling relatively amazing up until a few days ago. And I was surprised that in my previous pregnancies, I always started getting nausea like right at 6 weeks, like at the beginning of 6 weeks. And I went all the way through the end of week 6 and I had like very little nausea. I mean, I would have like just a hint of it here and there, but like hardly anything, like nothing. I mean, I could barely even notice it. It was just hardly anything. The main thing that I had been experiencing was the fatigue, but even that I had been combating with exercise. Like I said, I have been pretty darn good about continuing my exercising every other day routine, and that was really helping keep my energy up and kind of battle the pregnancy fatigue as well. But then so the night before I started feeling like death, I was actually doing one of my workout routines in the evening, like I normally do. I was doing an elliptical routine and just watching my YouTube videos, and I think I went for a full hour. And I actually did a pretty hardcore elliptical routine, and I was feeling like, yeah, this feels great. I'm really trying to fight against the battle of the bulge this pregnancy, and I was feeling really good about that. But unfortunately that night, exercising that much really energized me so much that I experienced horrible, god-awful insomnia that night. Now, usually exercising in the evening has never been a problem for me. Like, I'm always able to go to sleep just fine and even usually sleep pretty soundly, but maybe it's just the pregnancy hormones or I don't know what it was, but I was like wide awake and I could not fall asleep. I was trying, and I ended up getting up at like 3 in the morning, and I'm like, screw it. Like, I'm not gonna just lie in bed just, you know, tossing and turning and just feeling anxious about it. So I got up and I actually did some YouTube editing, and I ate a little something. It wasn't much, it was just like this little tiny bowl of cereal, and I think I had like a handful of nuts or something like that. It wasn't much. And then I finally went to bed, and I didn't get to sleep until 4:30 in the morning, you guys. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. So as you can imagine, the next morning the kids woke up at the normal time, and I woke up feeling like I had been hit by a bus. Not only was I extremely exhausted, but the nausea hit me for the first time, and it hit me hard. Like, I hadn't even gotten out of bed yet. Poor Bill has been sick all this week too. Alex had a really bad cough the last couple weeks, and he gave it to Bill. Knock on wood, I have managed to keep it away, and I'm doing every natural immune blasting thing I know to do that's pregnancy safe, and so far so good. I have managed to keep it at bay. But poor Bill he's also been sick this week, so it's been hard for him too. But I was like basically non-functional from the start of the day. I told him I didn't get to sleep until 4:30, so he was very gracious. Even though he wasn't feeling well, he got up and got the kids ready and got them breakfast while I slept until like 10, maybe 10:30, which was really nice of him, but it still wasn't enough. When I woke up from that, I thought I was going to throw up. I felt so sick. So I was like calling Bill on the phone downstairs, and I was like, quick, bring me crystallized ginger, bring me the like natural ginger ale that we have, bring me rice cakes, bring me chips, like bring me like carbs. I could feel it in my body. My blood sugar was so low, and I know that that was really affecting why I was feeling so nauseated. So he brought all those things, and I could barely even get those things down. Like, I knew I needed to eat to feel better, but it was so hard for me to eat to feel better. I eventually was able to get some rice cakes. Like, I tried eating some chips. Even the ginger wasn't even going over so well. I had him bring me one of those LaCroix drinks, the like sugarless, you know, sparkling water beverages. And I thought maybe the sparkling water would help, but even that, like, it didn't go over so well. There were a number of times when I thought I was gonna throw up. I didn't, but I just felt like death. I felt like death. Like, I was so exhausted and I felt so sick, like I just couldn't get out of bed. And thank God Bill is home right now. This was one of the logical reasons why we thought it was going to be a good idea for us to get pregnant now, because while my husband is home so much right now, he can help get me through the really rough part of the first trimester. And that he did, even though he was sick. Long story short, basically that entire day I was utterly non-functional. Like, I tried. I got up for a little bit and I tried to eat breakfast. Like, I had a little bit of toast and like some banana, and even after that I like had to immediately go lay down because I felt like I was going to be sick again, and oh, it was awful. And I ended up just going back to bed and falling asleep again because I just couldn't do anything else. Thankfully, Bill took Alex to preschool that day, and he took Sophie with him, which was really nice, so I could just rest a little bit. And when they got back, it was time for Sophie's nap, and Bill was really struggling too because he was sick. And so I let him lay down and sleep for a little bit while I fed Sophie and, you know, got her ready for her nap. And it was all I could do just to feed her lunch and get her down for her nap. It was all I could do. I remember just sitting there reading her books, and I was like skipping pages and trying to sing her the shortest songs that I could think of because I felt like I was going to throw up again, and I was just like trying to get her through the routine as fast as possible. And poor Sophie, she felt rushed. She didn't like that I was doing that, and I was like, I'm sorry, kid, like, mommy needs to lay down. Got her down for her nap, and then I went and laid down and fell asleep again myself. And then thankfully Bill dealt with the kids for the rest of the day, and I basically just stayed in bed for the entire day from that point on. I think I got up at like 6 p.m. and I was kind of sleeping on and off during that time. Even then, I was having a hard time getting up to eat dinner. Like, my blood sugar was so low, but I was having such a hard time eating anything, but I knew I had to. So I had Bill just heat up a can of organic chicken noodle soup for me, because that was the only thing that sounded palatable to me. And I managed to get some of that down, and I did start to feel a little better after that because I could feel my blood sugar rising. What we use for electrolyte drinks in our house is these Noon tabs. You guys have probably seen them in the natural food store, but they're just like a little tablet that you drop into water and it fizzes, and it's a natural sugar-free electrolyte drink, and it tastes fruity. I couldn't even handle regular water. That wasn't palatable to me. I could only handle the electrolyte drink. So that was my day that day. That was actually the day of the Academy Awards. And I remember that was like the highlight of my day. After the kids were in bed, I actually started to feel better at about, I don't know, 9 p.m., something like that, after I managed to get the rest of the soup in me and my blood sugar started to rise a little bit. I was feeling significantly better by that time, but I still felt energy-wise like I had been hit by a bus. So we just sat and watched the Academy Awards that night, including the very, very awkward ending when they gave the award to the wrong people. So by the time the Academy Awards were over, I was actually like starving after that, and I had this huge appetite all of a sudden. And so it was crazy. Clearly a pregnancy, morning sickness, hormonal fluctuation, and I was craving protein, and so I had Bill make me some scrambled eggs, and that hit the spot. And I felt even better after eating scrambled eggs and a little bit of toast and banana. And I even made myself like one more scrambled egg after that because I was craving protein so much. So then we went to bed quite early for us that night, and I got a good like 7-8 hours of sleep that night, and I had eaten protein. I ate the eggs right before bed, just to intentionally give my body a food source that would stick with me all night, and so hopefully keep my blood sugar more even keel until morning to try and prevent what had happened that day. And overall it did seem to work. The next day it was like 180, night and day. I felt amazing. I didn't even feel pregnant at all. I felt like I normally do, like my normal energy levels. I got up, I let Bill sleep in that day because he was still pretty sick and wasn't feeling well. So I got up with the kids and I did almost everything with the kids that day. Took Alex to school, picked him up, did grocery shopping. Like, I was feeling great. And it was crazy. I'm like, how is it that I was like one day totally non-functional to the next day I was just like bouncing off the walls and being productive and getting things done? Like, it's been a roller coaster of a week. And then that was yesterday, and then today it's kind of been somewhere in between, and I have just been lying around most of the day today, like with very little motivation to do anything. Like, I've basically gotten nothing done today, and I've just been like lying on the couch or lying in bed just like scrolling through Facebook and watching YouTube videos, because like my energy has just been today. At least the nausea wasn't so severe today, even though I did have a little bit of it, but man, the pregnancy fatigue, like it's real, man, it's real. So that's the long rambling version of how I've been feeling this week. In terms of other symptoms, like I said, related to eating right before I go to bed, I usually don't like to do that, but I also have been having this intense hunger at like 11 p.m. I mean, it's normal for me to snack a little bit at night just because it's like my habit and I'm like a little bit hungry. But like, no, this is like, give me all the food at 11 p.m. Like, I'm starving. I feel like my stomach is growling and I feel like it is going to like eat itself because I am just so hungry. And so I have been trying to eat like a smallish healthy meal, like I said, late at night. I am giving into that in the first trimester, because if it means the difference between gaining just a little bit of extra weight and versus being non-functional because my blood sugar is so horrible in the morning and affects the entire rest of my day, I have to choose being functional. So that's what I'm doing. But speaking of which, in terms of weight gain, I did gain 1 more pound this week. So 7 weeks, I've gained 3 pounds already. Woohoo! I talked about in my last week's video what my goals are for weight gain, but I have kind of accepted that this is just my body's way of doing it. I gain a ton of water weight when I'm pregnant, and I'm just kind of expecting myself to just gain 50 pounds because that's what I do every time. And if I could gain like 40 or 45 this time, that would be amazing. I feel like I've been doing everything I can for that. I've been trying to eat as healthy as possible, and like I said, I've been exercising every other day up until I felt like death. So, I might end up scaling down the intensity a little bit until I get through the end of this first trimester, but I am still going to try to be consistent, even doing, moderate exercise every other day. Related to the morning sickness, I have continued to have major smell aversion. I can smell every little thing, and it's funny because, my husband's been sick and he can't smell through his nose right now, so it's like he can't smell anything and I can smell every little thing. So he's been having poopy diaper duty lately. I still spray our cloth diapers, but he's been doing all the changes, which has been glorious. Especially since my smell aversion seems to be the worst like in the morning and into the afternoon, and after that it seems to be better. Which kind of goes along with when I am feeling nauseous, it kind of goes along with that. I feel bad in the morning into the afternoon, evening, and then I feel good at night. That's when I deal with the gross smelling stuff. But even just like, normal foods, things just smell disgusting to me right now. So yeah, smell aversions. And then in terms of cravings, I have continued craving citrus like last week. And when I'm feeling sick this week, like your average pregnant woman, I've been craving carbs. And I am trying to be somewhat gluten-free this pregnancy because I still do have a bit of a gut reaction to gluten. I'm not being 100% about that, but for the most part, I am trying to be. So I definitely have found that just like simple K-pasta corn chips or rice cakes, that seems to be the carb of choice that settles my stomach, especially the rice cakes, even more so than even sometimes the chips don't even sound that good. We have gluten-free crackers too, like rice crackers, but those have just not sounded good to me. But something about the rice cakes, those have hit the spot. And just gluten-free toast. Even still, I'm trying to limit it though. I'm trying to not just like eat a whole package of something, like if I need something, I try to just have a small amount of it and let that be it. So I'm still satisfying my craving, but I'm really trying to not go overboard with the calories. And like I mentioned before, I've been craving protein at night, and I think that is because it helps me feel so much better the next day, and especially the next morning. So I am trying to do that, just have some sort of healthy protein right before bed, like toast with nut butter or like an egg, that kind of thing. So that is what I have been trying to do at night. And then at the other end of the digestive system, TMI, I have been quite backed up. And I know that's just a normal, one of those lovely little things you have to deal with in pregnancy. I've been taking a magnesium supplement for that, and I actually found that it's something that really helps with insomnia too, like I was dealing with the other night. A bunch of you might have seen this stuff or maybe use it yourself, but it's called Natural Calm, and it's just this powder that you just put like a teaspoon into hot water and it fizzes, and then you drink it, and it really helps you sleep well, and it helps keep things moving in your digestive tract, if you know what I mean. So I have been having that at bedtime every day, and it seems to be helping a little bit. And along with that, just extreme bloating, extreme bloating. I definitely look 6 months pregnant still. It's just what my body does. Like I said, like, brace yourselves, I'm gonna get huge. When I'm not pregnant, people ask me if I'm pregnant. And when I'm pregnant, people ask me if I'm having twins. It's just how it always is. So brace yourselves. Even though, my belly is not baby yet, like the bloat is real, guys. And then finally, I have been having the weirdest pregnancy dreams. And I know this is also really normal. I experienced this very much so in both of my other pregnancies as well. But man, those hormones, it is like when you go into dreamland, it's like you are going into an alternate universe, and it is real. You are there. Like these dreams, they just go on and on and on and on and on and on for hours. It's like they don't stop, and it's like extreme detail, like with all your senses. Like this is the first time I remember experiencing like smell and taste in my dreams. Usually, like, I never experience smell and taste in my dreams, but I've experienced that. It's like that level of detail. I've seen details visually in dreams that like I could even go up with a magnifying glass and see all the detail of everything. It's like, it's intense. And just weird stuff too. Well, just like, I wake up and I'm like, where the heck did that come from? For example, I had a dream the other night, and it stayed reeling in my head all day long, and when I went to bed the next night, I was still thinking about this dream because it was so weird. I think it was somebody I know from YouTube actually, was like coming to visit me, but it wasn't actually my home. It was like, in my dream it was my home, but it wasn't actually my home. And we were trying to cook something or bake something, and we needed frosting. As you know, like, we avoid sugar in our house as much as possible, but in the dream we needed frosting. So I told her, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just run to the store and get us some frosting. Now, this was not just hopping in the car and running to the nearest grocery store. No, I walked. I had to walk. Now, we live in Washington State, and if you guys don't know, in Washington we have a lot of ferries that cross the Puget Sound, and for some reason I had to walk from my house down to a ferry dock and get on a ferry and cross, walk off on the other side, and walk on a beach. And I remember the light was like this you know, that dream, like golden light that you have in dreams. It was weird. And I was trying to walk along the beach before the tide came all the way in, so I couldn't walk on the beach. And then I went into this like sketchy like Walmart type store, and I'm like looking for frosting. And finally I asked one of the employees, and they're like, frosting. And they look around, they're like, well, we don't have any, but we can whip some up for you. So some employee comes out from the back with like this silver bowl of handmade frosting and hands it to me. I was like, here you go. Weird. Then I had to walk all the way back to the ferry dock, which, I mean, this is like several mile walk with my little bowl, silver bowl of frosting. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the ferry. So I'm like running, and I'm like running past people, trying not to like push people over so I can make this ferry. And I run on, and then like, I don't know if there's like a storm when the ferry was there or whatever, but it was like the ferry was moving all over the place, and there were like weird vending machines on the ferry that like sold weird things, and like slides that you could slide down on the ferry to like get to the car decks, like weird stuff. And then finally, this is like hours that had passed, right? And I get back to my friend who's waiting at the house, and I'm like, I'm so sorry it took me so long to get this bowl of frosting. I had to walk, you know, walk to the ferry, take the ferry, walk to the other side, walk back to the ferry, and then walk back to the house. And she said, oh, it's all good, I've been watching a movie or whatever. Like, all of my dreams are that weird. They are so weird and just so vivid. So that's just an example. I could tell you some of the other dreams I've been having, but I won't bore you with that. And I always wake up with this like weird feeling like, what the heck? Like, where am I? Like, what world am I living in? So anyway, that is what has been going on this week. My videos always end up being way longer than I intend them to be, but whatever. I figure with my pregnancy updates, I'm going to let myself ramble because I enjoy looking back on them later. Like I mentioned last week, at the end of each of these pregnancy updates, I am linking the corresponding week of my last pregnancy, since I documented my last pregnancy on YouTube as well. So if you want to see that, be sure to check that out at the end, because I'm going back and watching them just to compare and contrast pregnancies, just for my own personal sake. I think it's interesting. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're new here, thank you so much for subscribing. It's so much fun to share this journey with you guys. I am looking forward to meeting other people here on YouTube who are in a similar place in pregnancy. You know, last time when I was pregnant, meeting other people who are going through the same things at the same time. It really is a cool community. So anyway, if you're pregnant, definitely let me know where you are in your pregnancy and what you've been experiencing. I would love to know and chit chat about it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new here, and hit that little bell next to the subscribe button, because that gives you a notification every time I put up a new video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.